Hey guys, it's your host, MD Lovelace, coming to you live from Graceland. You're watching the Sconni Sports Show. But Jeff and I were both kind of feeling bad that we had the bye week on you guys last week. So along with our episode featuring DeJuan Harris, former Packer running back, we also decided to bring in another guest. Thank you to our pal of the show, Don Horn, who we had on obviously a couple weeks ago. He was able to secure us with his roommate and Super Bowl II hero by chance, I guess we could call it, for his pretty well-known fumble recovery. He is Dick Capp. Dick, thanks for taking part of the show this week. I appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you.
And whatever Don is paying you, I'll try to double.
If he's anything like he used to be, he's not paying me much, so you're in good shape.
No, it's all right. He's an awesome guy. I can only imagine him as a roommate. I know you and I were chatting during the week. He's definitely a chatty guy, but I love it. It makes our job easy.
Yeah, no, a great, and he hasn't changed. He was the same then, so it's almost like if you black out the picture, it's almost like you're sitting back there in Green Bay. So.
Nice. So for people that don't know you, you were a basketball guy growing up. You said almost your entire career, right?
I grew up in Maine, and Portland, Maine is a good size, but we had a little camp on a big lake, Sebago Lake, and I grew up there, and actually we still love the property. And there weren't any kids, so my dad put a hoop up in the backyard. And back then, your mother said go out and play, so I went out and shot hoops for 2 or 3 hours every day. So, yeah, pretty good shot considering. My dad actually was pretty cool. He made it regulation. It was 6x4 backboard, and I even had a board for baseline, so I tried baselines. And doing that you had a lot of confidence in your shot when that's all you did for hours upon hours for a few years.
Nice. So when did football?
You want me to take off on that? I was a good basketball player, and but I wanted to go to Alabama on a football scholarship because Alabama was big on Sports Illustrated back then, but the Bear didn't have any interest.
Really? Okay.
So I went to a year. It was kind of a dream, but they were in Sports Illustrated. They had a new football facility. And I said, growing up being alone a lot as a kid, I'm doing, got to go to Alabama. But it was a pipe dream, all right.
Well, because you end up spending time with Bart Starr anyway, right?
And the Duke football coach is coached for a while at Alabama and coached Bart.
Right.
David Cutcliffe.
Okay. Nice. So when did football kind of enter the picture for you then, I guess?
Well, back then you could play all sports. So I was a quarterback in football, and we won the state championship, and I was a co-captain. And so that was a great achievement, great thrill, great bunch of guys. So I love both sports. I got recruited by the main colleges, but like I said, I wanted to go to Alabama. Well, I wanted to go to a major college for either football or basketball. It was basketball season, and my basketball coach got me a scholarship to Worcester Academy, which in the Northeast, they have a real impressive, really complex private school programs where kids go there for high school, grammar school, and I went to Worcester Academy on a basketball scholarship. Just happened to be during basketball season. So, and it was a great. I was tall and skinny, and probably I was 18, but probably had the physique of a 16-year-old. So that 1 year was was great.
Nice.
So I went there on the basketball. We played both, and that was called. They call those guys postgraduates. They had the 4 years of high school and then a postgraduate. That is very impressive. Philip Andover, Worcester Academy, Exeter. They were all big private schools that at that time used to feed the Ivy League.
Nice.
With students.
Okay.
And I mentioned to you, I had 4 Hall of Fame coaches. My basketball coach went on to UConn, D. Rowe, and he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Nice.
He was very close to Bob Cousy, and that got me a scholarship to Boston College for basketball.
Nice. So after college, you end up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Have you ever heard of us before that time?
Yeah, when I was at BC, I had a picture of Sports Illustrated cover, and it was 3 Green Bay Packer linebackers. And I took it out, cut it out, and framed it, and had it on the wall in my bedroom.
Wow. Okay.
So, no, I never figured I'd be there, but that was certainly those 3 linebackers were. But I was a defensive end in college. So.
Okay. So how did that move take place, going from the D end to line?
It's a great story. I was with the Patriots, the Boston Patriots, out of BC, and I was on the taxi squad. They call it the practice squad now. Then it was the taxi squad, and we played. We practiced all week long. There was only 5, and the rosters were only 40 players then.
Wow.
So on the weekend, we'd go play on a semi-pro team, 5 of us.
Wow.
For $150.
Wow.
If you, some of those guys had been around. I mean, one player was getting a quarterback from Michigan State, was playing in the semi-pro league, and the trainer in the locker room, which was a high school locker room we were playing in, got 5 or 6 shots of Novocaine in his knee before the game for $150. And I said, I don't know, this is, I hope I got to try a little harder to make the roster. But anyways, I had signed a contract. The Packers were looking for a kicker, and we had a real good kicker. And so they saw the film, and they invited me and a tackle and the kicker to come out for a tryout and in Green Bay. So and then I was in the Army, so I went to my basic training after that. But I got a great story. I'm in the CO at basic training at Knox calls and said, hey, they want to talk to you. There's some guy from Green Bay Packers want to talk to you. So they come over to the barracks, and this was basic training. So it was Pat Pepler.
Okay.
And he said, we'd like to have you come out for a tryout. I said, that'd be great. I'm in basic training. And the Army says, well, we'll be in contact. We'll send you a telegram. And anyways, when I got out of basic, we had advanced training, and then I went to Green Bay. So I got there late for training camp, about 2 weeks, but which leads to a great story. You ready?
Yeah.
So anyways, for some reason, Horn would tell you this, the veterans there were awesome. Almost all of them. I mean, and so I'm playing linebacker. They got 3 pretty good linebackers. Actually, they got 5 pretty good linebackers. And Jim Flanagan was one of their top draft choices, one of our top draft choices. So who Horn and I and Dave Dunaway all roomed together. But Willie Wood used to come up behind me. Lombardi didn't like rookies. He didn't like mistakes. And Willie Wood would come up behind me and say, Capp, first back out. He'd tell me my responsibility. Not this was practice. He didn't like mistakes in practice. So
Right.
he said, Capp, first back out, or you got the hook zone. And then Tom Brown, another safety, did the same thing. So
Wow.
Herb didn't help much, but
Nice.
and and then so I don't know. I'm kind of like a fan, but being a linebacker in practice behind Willie Davis with Willie Wood behind you, Ray Nitschke in the middle, Caffey on the other side, and the only reason I'm in there is Robinson's taking a break. But that was you kind of look around and hit yourself. Is this real? So actually, I was being from Maine, a kid from Maine, and being in Green Bay with all these guys was a unique experience. Pretty exciting.
Now,
Very exciting.
Did you ever get your Sports Illustrated signed by those guys?
Did you ask Horn that?
No.
Oh, no. That was a cover. I tore it up. That was back in. I never thought I'd make it. Great story. Back up a little. I had signed a contract with the Lowell Giants, which was a semi-pro league, but the Patriots had us play with them on the weekend. And then I had also signed to come back for the next year because I already signed a Patriots contract. Mm-hmm. And then when I went out to Green Bay, Pepler had me sign a contract. So this is actually I had signed an agreement, but I don't know that it was a contract. And they called me when I got back to Boston, and Pat Pepler calls and he said, "Hey, we'd like to sign you. We're going to send you a contract for $9.5." I said, "Oh, well, the Patriots already offered me $12.5."
Oops.
Or 12,000. So I heard in the background, it's Coach Lombardi. Tell him we'll go 12.5 and that's it. And so anyways, the problem was I had 3 contracts, Patriots, Lowell Giants, and the Packers. So they had to call and let Pete Rozelle negotiate it. And so he said he has to get released from the Lowell Giants, and those other 2 contracts with the Patriots and the Packers are null and void until he gets. They're null and void until he gets the release from the semi-pro team.
Wow.
So my dad said, "I said, Dad, what do you think?" He said, "Well, I think you should go try it with the Packers." He said, "If you can make that, that's a pretty good start."
Right.
So Rozelle made all 3 contracts void, and I signed with the Packers for Vince's final offer.
Wow.
12.5.
Hey. All right.
Which
is decent. So what was it like when you first got the call to Green Bay? Like you said, you were kind of a fan coming into it. But what was it like when you first got here? I mean, most of the stories we hear are guys looking around going, "No, seriously, where is the stadium?" Was that kind of your first reaction coming into it?
Well, I can't remember that. No, I don't remember that because Green Bay and my hometown were about the same size. And they did send one of the practice squad, Vince or somebody sent out to meet my flight. So I did have a ride in. I think it was, no, I picked up Chuck Machine when we traded for him. Somebody picked me up, and God, that's a good question. But they took. I can't remember who the heck it was. Took me. It was one of the rookies that was on the practice squad also. So, and then we had. Okay, so really, I mentioned Tom Brown and Willie Wood, who just great guys, and I love them to death. But um, the can't remember which one it was, but Henry. Anyways, whenever anybody got hurt, Lombardi would switch me to guard or tackle, or
Oh, wow.
and Henry Jordan and Fuzzy both tried to. They would stay after practice and help me with learning the position. And Henry Jordan, so I'm learning to be a guard. Henry Jordan saying, "I'll stay after and show him the typical moves of a defensive tackle."
Oh, wow.
And that wasn't anything that Vince asked them to do. They did it on their own. So
Wow.
I think that was the kind of character that team had.
Yeah, I was to say you don't hear that much very often anymore. I mean, like we were just talking with Duan prior to your interview, and it was a lot of, "Hey man, it's a business. I get it. You know, everyone's kind of out for their own. Everyone's trying to eat for the same position. You know, there's so many different leagues and videos and streams and ways to find people. It used to be." So yeah, that's why I always love your guys' generation, Dick, to get everybody on the show to talk about, you know, just that special year between '66 and '67, especially. You know, there was a lot of love on those teams for one another, and it seemed like, you know, everybody had the same end goal, which is really sharp.
Yeah, I didn't hear too much from Dave Robinson. We're good friends now. We go back to a reunion, and we talk, end up together a lot in reunion sessions. But Tommy Joe Crutcher and Leroy Caffey, now that you mention it, I don't think they were my best friends. Although I got I got promoted after football to Dallas, and had an opportunity to visit with Tommy Joe. So after he had retired. Nice. But during that initial season, you're right. Well, especially only 40 positions. So yeah, there were only 5 linebackers. Lombardi did like linebackers, good linebackers.
Nice.
Willie, Willie Davis was good to me. He called me Capp. The Forrest Gregg, the first game that I played on the active roster, he said, "Hey Capp, did you tell your parents that you're playing with the Green Bay Packers or starting with the Green Bay Packers?" And I said, "No, I'm on the kickoff team." He says, "You're starting. Call your parents back and tell them to tell everybody in Portland, Maine that you're starting for the Green Bay Packers."
Wow.
Kickoff team.
Jeez.
So that was, and the Forrest Gregg, it was what, an 8-year veteran that year, a 9-year veteran. So he would spend time with I think Horn would tell you the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Great, even with the 40th man on the roster.
Jeez. It's pretty neat. Yeah. Again, it's always fun to hear the stories from your guys' group because there's so many fun stories. I mean, Jerry Kramer, if you can't, block off 2 hours, I mean, that guy is just full of stories. It's so great, and his passion for the game. I think that's one of the biggest things you see from the guys that played in the 60s and 70s, especially. The love of the game is so much more intense, I think, than what a lot of the guys do now. A lot of the guys now are just focused on the money. And like Don said, Vince was really good with, if you're here for money, you're here for the wrong reason. I think that speaks volumes over what we see today.
Yeah, it would have been nice though.
Right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of there's a great story. I'll think of it, but was it Fuzzy? Oh, Raymond, I know, Jerry Kramer. I don't think he talked to me till near the end of the season, or even said hello. And now we go on reunions, and it's okay. But I think they're used to a lot of rookies that were there for maybe 6 weeks or a couple of months, so they didn't want to spend any energy on them. But occasionally I wanted to get even with Kramer, so occasionally I'll say, "Hey, you wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame if I didn't recover that fumble."
Oh, jeez.
So He laughs. And it's like, okay, Rook. A great story. We in the off season, because we all had jobs. 12-5 wasn't going to quite make it. I think Don told me once he didn't make a hell of a lot more. But we all worked in the off season. So I was that particular year, I was a stockbroker. And who the heck was it? Kramer? I forgot it. So we played basketball too. We had a full, like a 20-game basketball schedule. About 8 of us, like Bob Long played basketball in college. I think Nitschke played for 1 year at Illinois. Okay. So we had, and I played, so we had about 5 guys that played college basketball. Okay. And so we would go play the Alumni as a fundraiser on all through the Midwest, from Chicago to, and we went to Southern Illinois and played, and they gave us $100 or whatever for the game. And I used to ride with Nitschke because I had an apartment near his home. So he'd pick me up and we'd drive to wherever the games were. I think you got to remember, Ray Nitschke's about as tough a football player as a person. Great person, but tough guy. And we're driving back from Milwaukee. It was Waukesha High School, the alumni or the faculty or whatever. We're driving back, and it's what's the highway from Milwaukee? It's fog, like you can't see 5 feet in front of you. So Nitschke's scared to death, right? He pulls over and he makes me get in the back seat. I'm not going to argue with him. And get in the back seat and look out the rear window and let him know because he's driving like 5 miles an hour. What is it, 41 or
40? Yeah.
And so he's up there and he's like this, got a hold of the wheel, and he's, you see anything? You see anything? Anybody behind us? So I'm cracking up, and I said, Ray, I'm going to tell everybody what a big sissy you are. He was just scared to death. He's better not. So all the way back from Milwaukee or Appleton, maybe. What's halfway? Anyways, yeah. But yeah, he's scared to death the whole way. And when we got done in Green Bay, he was exhausted. And I never did tell anybody that story till now, but I threatened to tell all the veterans what a big sissy he was. He was literally panicking. He was so scared. Anything yet? Keep your eyes on him. Tell me if you see anything. I'll goose it.
Maybe he's just afraid of all the deer dents. I mean, hell, half the cars were worth about the size of your check. So.
That's right.
Yeah, Ray was one of the guys I always was hoping to meet as a kid and never got to meet because of the stories that supersede him. And obviously, like you said, one of the toughest SOBs when it came out to a football field. I think Don said he's one of the biggest trash talkers that he's ever played against or with. So I believe it.
We, Flanagan and I, or Jim Flanagan is a linebacker, and we were one of the roommates, and we're on the sideline watching the game, and we actually were standing there watching the defensive play, and it was a sweep towards the sideline, and we were right. So Ray popped the center, moved a little to the left, popped the tackle, and I mean you could hear it. He used the forearm, and he hit one more guy, and then he nailed. So 1, 2, 3, and then he made the tackle. We looked at each other like, how do you top something like that? I mean, he was just unbelievable. And Ditka, great stories. We played the Wrigley Field on the same. One time we had to play, or I don't know, maybe all the games back then, but both teams were on the same sideline. So they had a divider on the 50-yard line. But whenever Butkus went out, Nitschke and Willie Davis and Willie Wood would be giving them little cat calls. and teasing him, because Butkus is just trotting out onto the field like that. So that was a great rivalry. Those guys did enjoy each other, but a little bit of trash talking.
A little bit. With the Bears? I mean, I don't know if I can believe that one.
Yeah. Now, Nitschke, Lombardi's, this is a great story. For me, it is. Lombardi's, we had a little trouble with tight end. Marvin got hurt, or Alan Brown had a serious injury. And so we didn't know whether he could come back. So Vince had me, Coach Lombardi had me play tight end. And so we're just practicing, but it's semi-live or half-live. Probably, yeah, I think it was half-live. Anyways, I went down, Nitschke's coming across, and I blocked him. And somebody bumped me, and I went down low, and I hit him low, and he went over. And he got up, and he said, "Don't ever block me low in practice." And yes, sir. But anyways, we went back and run the next play. The next play, Caffey's holding me up, hold me up, and I'm trying to get away for run a pass pattern because it was a pass drill, and he lets me go, and Nitschke is just waiting there with a clothesline. I'm on the ground, half out, and he's going, "Hey, rookie, don't ever block me below the waist again." Yes, sir. That's the same guy that I'm riding the games with in the offseason. He was a little bit Lombardi. He would say real nice things to you in person. But okay, great story. The other one switched me to tight end, so he had me stay after practice with Bart Starr. So Bart would stay for about 15 or 20 minutes and have me run routes. And then we'd go back and have for lunch or the post-game dinner or whatever. An interesting point about Bart. There'd be about 20 or 30 kids waiting when we get out of the locker room, and it was training camp, so I would drive. We had our personal cars, and Bart would drive me back to the food for St. Norbert's, right? Yeah. And so he would have, all the kids are standing, he'd line them up, one right after the other, make them space. I'll sign all the autographs, but you have to stay in a single line. Anybody breaks line, and I won't sign any autographs. He'd sign every autograph, which took about 20, 30 minutes every day. Wow. We only did that for a week because we only did it for a week. But the week before the Super Bowl, I got activated. Mm-hmm. So we're having a little trouble still with Marvin and Boyd running tight end. So Vince said, "Hey, Capp, let Capp run a couple patterns across the middle." Now, I had good hands from college, basketball and everything. So, and plus Bart and I had done this thing earlier in the year. So I run a pattern across the middle, and Bart zings one, and it came close to my head. The ball just went right through. It looked like, it was like a guy never caught a ball in his life. Went flying in the air. And Vince says, "Get him the hell out of there." So that was the end of my tight end career. Okay. One play, one pass.
Jeez.
And I can remember that one. That's funny telling that story like it was yesterday. But yeah, Fuzzy was great. Bart was all business. That staying for 30 minutes. There was no Don Horn, Flanagan. Dave Dunaway was our other roommate, who was a receiver from Duke. Passed away real young. Forgot what I was going to say. But Bart was very serious, all business, but a perfect gentleman. Who else? Veterans, we had a good time in training camp. I can't remember. I think Dave Robinson and Willie Wood and somebody else came down to my room during training camp and said, "Hey, bed checks. Coach did bed check. Bed check's over. He said, we're all going out to the I can't remember the name of the club there. So meet us out around the back and see if you can get Horn to come. We've already talked to Horn. So I'm going, I better do what these guys want, right? But I was scared to death about curfew.
Right.
So they set me up. I'm tiptoeing down the corridor, and I turn around the corner, and there's Schnaufer. Where are you going? Oh, I just had to go down to see if there was something in my car. So he said, that's a dumb move. He said, you got a shot at making the club. So, but anyways, the veterans set me up. The closer it got to the final cuts, the closer and more friendly, and the more they interacted with the rookies.
Yes.
I still, some of these stories, it's like it was yesterday, and it's 50 years ago.
So who is your big prankster that you always had to deal with, besides Don, of course, it sounds like?
Yeah, he did Horn liked to generate, but after you made the team, it was Flanagan and Horn and I would go out, and we did go out and have a few beers, but I think they were both, Flanagan was engaged, so he was always in at midnight. Mm-hmm. Horn, he what he's like. He's more talking and not in an aggressive way, in a kind of a professional way. So we weren't the biggest partiers. There was only one, the Tropics. You ever heard that name?
Mm-mm.
I think that was you would be a young guy. I think that was the club that we used to go to. So I think Lombardi knew that, because Horning and Taylor and Max and had kind of set a precedence. And he knew what was going on.
Nice.
Just as long as you didn't do it before a game, too late, or get in trouble. Nothing good happens after midnight.
That's very true. I was just going to say, nothing good happens past midnight. Now, it's
sound like a coach.
Yeah, you bring up that drinking story. Now, wasn't there a well-known incident of a player showing up to a game who admittedly said, I was very drunk the entire time? It was one of your starters. I believe he was
a receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't tell those stories. I think he's passed. He's passed, but Max was a unique person, and he actually would say hello. How you doing, Rook? And that was it. I think he said that to me every time he saw me. It was Max, Dick Capp. You can switch off the rookie name. But that was I think one of the stories I remember a lot is the second game of the season. I think we were playing the Browns, and we were down 2 touchdowns, and the veterans are sitting in the offense. And I was active, but only on special teams. So they're sitting there, and they were talking about something other than football. And this was a regular season game. I think it was second game against the Browns. And I said, guys, we're down 2. It was in the second half. And it was like, we got this. And they went back to talking, and I felt kind of like, fool. Okay, I'll go. My. Anyways, Travis Williams returned to a punt and a kickoff for a touchdown. We ended up beating them, but it was like by 8 points or something. So, but that was all those veterans were and Lombardi didn't like errors, so they were very well prepared, kept things simple, ran similar plays, and the veterans were very confident and emotional, because Lombardi expected more than 100%, which I've heard since then you can't give more than 100%, but he expected it anyway. So, it's a great story. The Super Bowl. We're going out in Super Bowl or another game, and anyways, we're in the tunnel waiting to go out, and Lombardi's next to me, and I'm 6'4", and he's looking up and he says, "Dick Capp, you look great in the green and gold." What do you say? "Hey, thanks, coach." Anyways, I was telling Willie Wood afterwards. I said, "Hey, Willie, did you hear Coach say?" He said, "What's no?" He said, "What did he say?" He said, "Dick Capp, you look great in the green and gold." He knew you were on a kickoff, and we were kicking off. So he was. In other words, it wasn't that I was so great. He wanted to be sure I was fired up for the kickoff. So, nice. And I always thought of that as, if that was true, how prepared or how professional is Lombardi? He's thinking about everything. This fun guy. And another thing, that his famous, I don't know, some of you may know, but his famous "What the hell's going on out there?" was usually when the defense was out there. He didn't know a darn thing about defense. So on the offense, he was busy watching and what was going to be the play. But Coach Bankston handled the defense. And, "Phil, what the hell's the guys doing out there?" And he'd yell at the players. And Willie, they all said it was because he really didn't have a hell of an idea what was going on in defense. So he was looking for an answer.
Nice. So what was your personal favorite Vince Lombardi moment?
I've had a business career after football, and I just think about that one year. But every day, Vince would get up and do a pre-practice or overview of what we're going to do that day. And if you heard his voice, every single one of his talks were motivational. So every day it was like that voice of his, and he must have prepared, even though they were 10 or 15 minutes long. I think that on the ice ball, I was on the sideline. I wasn't active that game, but I had a headset on talking to Burns, the defensive coordinator, and I wasn't calling this defensive deals, but I would tell a certain player when he came off what they wanted him to look for. And near the end, so I'm right near Lombardi, and he on that drive. That's the most unbelievable drive. I don't care what sport, basketball, football, baseball. Considering the conditions of how freaking cold it was, and I'm from Maine, and I have thin fingers, but my hands were freezing. The way that Bart executed that drive, but get down the end, and I did overhear the Lombardi saying, "Run it and let's get the hell out of here." On the sneak. So, you go through life for that big of a moment, for him to be able to generate that kind of confidence as a coach. Sounds like, go ahead and run it. Let's get the hell out of here. What a great lesson for any coach.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess just the preparation every day, and expectations, and you can do better than that, and and it was that way with everybody. It was there's a story that I was aware of that year, but I've heard since that Bart went to Lombardi and coach and said, "Hey, you can't treat me like that if I'm going to earn the respect of the offense. I don't mind you chewing me out. Could you do it after practice?" And Vince went along with it. But to be able to, and I mean, we weren't wimps, but to be able to get that kind of, I don't know how we do nowadays, but to be able to get that type of commitment from 10-year veterans as well as the rookies are easy.
Well, not today, maybe not, but yeah, your generation.
We all wanted to make it. That was especially the Green Bay Packers.
So going into Super Bowl week, what was your preparation like? I mean, did you have any thought at all, like, hey, I could be making one of the biggest plays of this game, or was it just kind of another week for you of not knowing what to really expect?
No, it was, hey, don't make mistakes. And then I think they have 500 or 1,000 press corps, but I got interviewed. That's how big a game it was. I'm the 40th man on the roster, and I'm getting interviewed by the New York Times. But it was so it was a big game even then, because it was not that it's in the same scope as now, but relative to a typical NFL game back then, that was, you got 50, 75, or 100 in the press corps interviewing even Dick Capp. It's pretty impressive. And it was I think we filled the stadium, but national broadcasting and then Lombardi prepared it. The biggest thing was like I said, the veterans were very confident. So he did have to motivate these guys, and to motivate a 10-year veteran who's been through it all and probably at that time didn't think the Super Bowl was it wasn't. It was the World Championship. The first year, second year, I think it was still might have been the Super Bowl, but it was bigger because he got a lot of heat about the AFL and the NFL merging. A lot of questions in Super Bowl I, so they still existed in II. And I think Kramer or a couple of the guys had a sense that might be his last game. I didn't sense it, but it was just another big game. But what you were afraid of was losing to the AFL.
Okay.
The NFL and AFL merging, and that would have been embarrassing. So I think the guys, plus the winner's share was $15,000 and the loser's share was $7.5. So a lot of those guys, even the veterans, didn't make a heck of a lot more than $15,000.
That's what Don was saying. He said, I doubled my salary just by playing this one game, so you bet we wanted to win.
Yeah, I mean, that's big bucks in 1967. $15,000. That'd be nice right now.
Rookies making that and appearances, and that could be a practice squad guy. It's amazing what the heck they can make now. And that's not even touching the...
Now, listen, you guys talked about appearances. I occasionally will get called to come back for a card signing. And somebody said, hey, look at Capp. He's got a longer line than Bart Starr. And somebody said, yeah, everybody's got a Bart Starr. Who the hell's got a Dick Capp? So I never forgot that. But anyways, yeah, I had a real long line because a lot of people want to complete their collection, have the 40-man roster from Super Bowl II, and but that humbling comment from probably an offensive lineman.
Nice. I have one autograph from Super Bowl. Well, two now because I just acquired a football with a bunch of random names on it. One of them happened to be Ray Nitschke. So I have Jerry, of course, who I've known a few times now, and then Ray Nitschke. So I'll have to get you and Don a few of the other guys collected yet while I still can. So yeah, it's on the list to do. I never got Bart. I got to meet him and shake his hand during his last meal here in Green Bay. He went over to that Sammy's Pizza. So I got a chance and a phone call saying, hey, if you want to meet Bart, this is your last opportunity. So that was a real nice time, of course, after the stroke and everything. But just being able to shake that man's hand and, you know, the smile on his face. I mean, there's just nothing like that at all in this world. So it was definitely a humbling experience for me to being able to do that.
You know, especially, I think we had a reunion last year to honor him, and we all went down to Rawhide. You familiar with that?
Yep, I remember.
I've been doing a thing with foster children for 30 years, every year. And so we went down to Rawhide, and Bart's son,
Yep,
you heard this one? Anyways, Bart's son said, he was telling a story about his dad and Bart Sr., okay, the football player, that his 14 or 15-year-old daughter came home from school, the first day of school. I never heard this story, but it sounds true as can be. His daughter comes home from school and says, Dad, you'll never believe it. Grandpa's famous. So he, you know, my kids knew I played with him, even though it was one season. But Bart just, his granddaughter never knew he was a famous person. That's how humble the guy was. And like I just have such good, everybody does have great memories of him. He was all business though.
right.
Get the job done, professional, no time for slacking, which was good. It was good for rookies to see that this is a business and we're professionals, and kind of kept you in line just his image.
Yeah, it's weird because with all the advent of this social media and websites and everything else, I've yet to ever hear one negative story ever in the history about Bart Starr. It's just amazing the legacy and the standards that man carried all the way through. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better face of Green Bay for so long, and I think obviously that's why they brought him back to coach for a while, was because of those standards. So definitely kind of cool.
Yeah, and that was probably a tough. And GMs are a big part of any coach's success. You got to have that's such a competitive business, and it is a business. So I know I got traded to St. Louis and to Pittsburgh, and they just weren't in the same league. If Lombardi had somebody that was a poison or a problem in the locker room, he traded him. I saw that when I went to Pittsburgh. Chuck Noll, two of the best players on the team were and the Steelers were terrible, like 1-13, and these guys were cancer in the locker room. Two best players on the team, he traded them.
Wow.
His second year there, so. And they were outstanding. One receiver was as good as anybody we had, if not better than anybody we had in Green Bay. But
Jeez.
you know, if you don't run the same route, the right route you're supposed to run with exuberance,
Yeah.
what good is it?
So how did?
So did Horn? I got to listen to that. Did you guys recorded that and he behaved himself?
Yeah, he shared a couple good stories. One of his other roommates was the team playboy, and I guess the coaches used to check his showers at bed check. One of the games, he said one of the guys was so bad, they go, "But coach, I'm in the bathroom." He goes, "That's fine, I'm coming in anyway." And they checked behind the shower curtain to make sure he didn't have any friends in there. So I said,
Anybody with him, huh?
It wasn't at that point, but it was one of the other roommates he had on the road, he said. But so how did you guys end up getting paired up with Donnie being Don a quarterback and you being on the defensive side? How did you two end up linking up for the roommate thing?
I can't. I think I got invited. I think they might have invited Bob Hyland, who was a BC top draft choice. I went to BC, and he might have turned him down. And so, but I don't know. We all got along in practice. And Flanagan and I were both roommates. We were both linebackers, and Horn was easy to get along with. Dunaway was real quiet. Some reason we liked Dunaway, Dave Dunaway, and it worked out great. Horn and Flanagan and I did go out at night. Dunaway was all business. The only thing David did that was he was a very good athlete and real fast, but he used to get down in the stance with his head down, and the coaches would say, Dave, that and he would release to the outside or something. The coaches said that doesn't fly in the NFL, and even the other receivers would tell him, you got to keep your head up because people are going to try to take your head off. And we're almost into the preseason, and he's still going out and in that sprinter stance with his head down. So I don't know who told him. I probably do, but I can't remember. Nitschke went over, and he's down in his stance, and they had told him, hey, get your head up, get your head up. So Nitschke just wound up and hit him in the helmet with a forearm shiver, which knocked him out.
Yes.
Knocked off his stance, but it didn't change him. He did kind of look to see who was standing over him, because outside linebackers back then, you could be pretty aggressive with a fight, keeping a receiver from getting out.
Right.
And normally, I think they started to change the rules where you couldn't hold them up after 5 yards or whatever. So the linebackers would try to get them, hold them up with forearms and before they get out too far. It did go from in the Steelers. Andy Russell was a friend of mine, and actually, I think I might have mentioned you, Rocky Blyer from Appleton.
Yeah.
Because when I got traded to the Steelers, Rocky was a Packer fan, playing for the Steelers from Appleton. So he and BC and Notre Dame, two Jesuit schools. He befriended me, but he said the exact same thing.
Well, Rocky's one man that we want to definitely get out here, so put in a word.
Yeah, he's still in Pittsburgh, but every once in a while we're messenger friends. I don't think he's on. He is on Facebook, but no, I don't think he's that active.
That's all right.
I guess he is, but he doesn't like it when the Steelers don't have a good game. So
avoid it.
Controversial.
Nice. Go back.
My BC is.
I saw that. I couldn't tell if it was a plaque or what. So.
Huh?
I said I wasn't sure if that was a plaque or what. It's hard to see from here, but neat.
No, I didn't get any. I had great BC. That was a great school. We had to go to class.
You didn't get basket weaving degrees, huh?
Yeah, and you had to have a full load. There was no, during football season, you only have one class. You had to maintain I can't remember the point average, but basically a C average. One semester I was We played our last football game on December 1st, or my last basketball game, and our first football game on the 3rd. So, and then midterms were a week later. So the guys are crashing for midterms. So I came in under a C minus. So they made me ineligible till I got my grades up. So BC was fantastic. It was, like I said, it was scholastic. You did have to maintain a certain point average. There was no basket weaving, and a great bunch of guys. So, but then I think again, like you mentioned, we weren't paid a lot. I'm kidding, but I mean, you got a scholarship, and that was it. So you were happy to have the full scholarship. And, now they're talking about pay, and I don't agree with that. Because what are you going to pay the third string linebacker less than the starting linebacker? Going to pay the quarterback more than the tackles? Full scholarships worth about 50 grand now.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
No, it's not terrible. Well, said though, unfortunately, there's some schools that don't really give you the full degree, or you got guys dropping out after the 2-year thing, where after 2 years they can go on and go play their NFL dreams away and never get a degree or finish it years later. So, yeah, it's a weird subject to be a part of. We've been asked that a few times as well, and it's tough. Like you said, you got to figure out how the breakdowns would work, and you get a D3 kid that's never doing anything, yet you got the guy that's of a video game and doing TV commercials for the school nonstop. I mean, obviously his time's got to be worth something too at the end. So it's tough.
Yeah, you're right.
Or if they do, the other one I heard that I kind of like is the reserve fund. So if a guy plays X amount of years, he's kind of vested X amount of dollars, and then you get that maybe when you're 2 years out of the school. So at least, you have kind of that nest egg later on to fall back on, because as you know, being young and good looking and in college, you can definitely get yourself in trouble that way.
Yeah, the Jesuits, well, I'm old, but the Jesuits, we had a bed check. The student body had a bed check, or at least that were in the residential halls. We had a bed check at night by the Jesuits. Jeez. So not just the athletes, everybody. You had to be in your room at 11 o'clock at night. So no, they don't have that anymore.
I won't say where I went, but the year I went to the school I was at prior to the one I'm at now, obviously many years later, we had it so bad where our floor was underage drinking so bad they had a police check-in for 2 weeks. Kids were stumbling in. We had a girl fall over a fence, rip her face completely open.
Oh,
the Idiot of the Year award for the newspaper. I mean, it was pretty impressive. There was a point where I may or may not have been legally intoxicated for 3 days after one night. Doing the fraternity thing, my pledge name was booze. So I lived on my own my senior year of high school. So
where are you at now?
I just went back to the local tech. I wanted to learn how to produce a better show, and everything right now is moving digital. And with Corona going on, we don't know where it'll be. So for me, I went back for digital media technology now at the local Northeast Wisconsin Technical College.
And where is that?
Right out here in Green Bay. It's off of Main Street.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Something different. It's different being back, being the old guy in school. I know you talk about how you feel your age, but there's nothing like being in a classroom and they're talking about everything else, and the kids are talking about, oh, I remember my teacher took away my cell phone. I'm like, we had corded phones when I was still in high school. I mean, I didn't even get a phone until my senior year, and yeah, you sure as heck weren't having that thing in class at that time, because only probably 10 of us in the entire school had a cell phone then. So it was definitely a different time compared to when I talk to kids now in schools and we do talks and, how old are you? It's like, bite me.
Well, you look younger, so that helps.
It even makes me look 12, so I still.
How about the guy that got deleted there, Jeff? What is he your partner or?
He's married. He's got 3 kids now. So, and then he works in the mills. So they've had a bunch of scares with the COVID thing going on, where he's constantly getting tested. I think he said he's been tested 3 or 4 times at least already. They had 10 guys out in the mill at one point. So it's been a wild time for everybody. So that's why I said I like the digital technology side. So if heaven forbid I stop, doing in-home consultations, I work for Bathfitter right now for the day job. At least I have something I can fall back on and still feed the family at that point.
Yeah, that's great. And then you're going to do it on a Sunday night or in the evening because you wanted to get the kids to bed.
Yeah, we try to get the kids to bed at a decent hour in our house. I don't believe in the whole staying out till you can't stay awake no more. So
yeah,
all about functionality in our house. I may look 12, but I like my old school. Things were done a certain way. Go outside and get some fresh air while you can. And the one thing I'm glad about with all between my other half and I is none of them are addicted to the video game thing. They're not tablet crazy as much. We do our occasional movie or favorite TV show, but we're not, stranded on relying on videos for a living either. So one nice thing about this, and then getting the kids introduced to life beyond football, and then stepping away myself, of course, from the coaching and the playing thing, like you and I were talking about offline the other day. It was Dennis Erickson who kind of opened my eyes to it, going, hey, it's cool to want to do this for a living, but at the professional level, man, you're not a family guy at that point. You're doing it.
No.
So that was cool.
And it's, I think it might be even worse in college because they got to recruit, and at least in the NFL, there's a month. Well, I don't know if there is any more, but they work full time, but not as intense after the season's over.
Yeah,
in college, you're out on the road recruiting.
Yep.
Hey, I did want to mention, I don't know your audience, but I have a nonprofit I've been doing for 30 years, and it's for foster children. And we did it. I was in Dallas. This is a pretty good story. The NFL formed back in 67, 68, formed the NFL Alumni Association. So all guys that have played in the NFL can be members. And I got transferred in my job to Dallas, and I met a couple of Cowboys. And of course, that was a big rivalry. And so they said, hey, once a year, we do a Caring for Kids event. Why don't you come help out? So I went, and they do a golf outing to raise some money, and then we give it to a certain charity for kids. Well, there was about 6 or 8 of us that didn't play golf. And so I said, let's do something else. Maybe we can do something with kids. I said, I know a guy that works for Dallas County. So he said, yeah, we could do something with all the foster children. And because they get a rough deal.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're coming usually from parents that had major issues or abuse, or the parents have major issues. So we said, hey, let's give them a sports clinic. So we did it at Cowboy Stadium. We got a bunch of extra, some of the Cowboy guys, and I was the youngest. And because Packers and beaten them twice, so they said, well, you run it. So
nice.
I got football, soccer from SMU, the NFL alumni. We had a bunch of guys, about 30 guys. And we got SMU soccer, and we ran a sports clinic at Cowboy Stadium. Wow. And we had 200 or 300 kids. So it was a lot of fun. My company transferred me to North Carolina, to Raleigh. And my 30-year-old children, who were then about 10, said, hey, Dad, aren't you going to do that football thing with the kids? So there was no NFL franchise, and there was nothing in Raleigh other than NC State. So,
sure.
Well, there's Duke down the street in Carolina in Chapel Hill, but we live near NC State, and they have been absolutely awesome. And so I went down and talked to the athletic director, the AD at my coach at UConn, or at Worcester Academy, who was the head coach at UConn, said, yeah, the athletic director at NC State used to be my athletic director at UConn.
Oh, wow.
I'll give you his name, drop my name. So he said, sounds like a great idea. So since 92, we missed a couple of years, we missed this year, but over 30 years, every year we invite all the foster kids and parents and adoptive children from Wake County to a full-day sports clinic. We have NC State football players come, about 20 of them. We have the cheerleaders, soccer, martial arts. I have a martial arts studio that comes. And then we have a local hospital, Rex Hospital, do a health and nutrition program. Then we feed the kids. So that's a nonprofit. We're trying to add mentoring. Sure. We give each kid a gift, and then we want to add a scholarship so that we can get one or two kids a scholarship where they're not getting a full scholarship. So right. Even a few grand will help them. So, but they can go to YouTube. It's 2000. We got a nice 3-minute video. Okay. 2015 Foster Kids Sports Clinic. Okay. And I give them an overview and all my contact, all the volunteers, all the sports in there. So anybody that likes it, we're trying to expand it to the other NFL cities. We've already spoke to the Alumni Association, big wigs, and but it's these kids had it rough, and for them these kids, the football players get as much out of it as the kids, and they're like eye-to-eye contact from an adult who really gives a crap about them. And the social workers are unbelievable. They say, yeah, I've never seen anything like it. They've been saying this for 30 years. They've never seen anything like it because the kids, they get to trust them. And then by the time they're scared at the beginning, the end of the day, they're like best buddies. Of course, cheerleaders are the most popular.
No. Well, it's
you'll love this story. Promise this is my last one. But,
you're okay.
I've got one martial arts instructor, and she immigrated she's from Korea and came here without speaking the language, and now she speaks English very fluently. But she can control. We get a couple hundred kids, so we break them down by age group. She's got 30 kids. She's got them all in lines, total control. And we got 20 football players, and they have trouble controlling 20 kids. So I always kid them. I said, one karate instructor can outperform 20 football players. Anyways, it's a great event. It has value. I've got some of the social workers that have worked with me for 20 years said it has a real positive impact on the kids.
Well, Dick, my other half, my fiance, is actually a social worker out here in the Green Bay community, and she deals a lot with like the homeless population. But she used to run a lot of the youth foundations out here for like kids' playtimes and stuff like that. So then we do a lot of work whenever we can with different charities. So we'll definitely have to stay in touch long after this and see if we can find a way to make some things happen, or find a way maybe down to that camp and help you out a little bit, because that sounds awesome.
It's a great experience. It's and we have really good charity businesses that help contribute. Toys R Us, Party City gave every kid a gift. Jersey Mike's Subs give every kid a sandwich for over 20 years, no charge. So we feed the kids, and I sat next to at one of the functions at Green Bay, one of the reunions, and they had the big what do they call them? Galas.
Yep.
Yeah. They had a gala in the atrium. Mm-hmm. Ever been to one of those?
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge, right? So it's real plush and everything. Anyways, they're having a player sit at each table, and the group I sat with probably 5 or 6 years ago at a reunion. We're all social workers from what's the county?
Brown County.
Brown County, yeah. So that was a fun experience for me they would tell me what they were doing, and I was sharing my kids clinic. But you got to get the Packers have got to support it.
Yeah. Nowadays it's tough to get anything else other than that. But how different is it for you to see the stadium change over the different unions back for? Holy smokes, huh?
Yeah, that one, I was looking for. You asked me to look for a couple pictures. I did find that one from but.
Oh yeah, you sent me that one. I'll have to post that. That's funny.
That's Horns Jaguar in there, which he let me drive once a month. And I had the red Ford. That's the first round draft choice. The second round draft choice has a Corvette. And the free agent has a Ford. Where were we? I forgot.
You were talking about the roommate situation and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I can't. That's that was a great group of guys. Trying to think, I had one more. You run this? Is this view? Do you have a good audience?
It's getting there. The more we can get guys to share the episodes after, for sure.
Yeah, that's my my 8-year-old skier friend in Maine.
Holy cow.
Ivor Hall. But I gotta mention him.
Okay, nice. Hey, I'm always about working and networking, so absolutely.
With all the racial things going on now, you get the kids young, you get them together. That's one from 2006.
Okay.
But if those white and black kids get together when they're young, there's no problem. They get along great. If you get them being friendly when they're young, it eliminates a lot of these issues we're having now. So
yeah, I agree.
That's another of the sports clinic.
I got a chance to grow up in a pretty diverse neighborhood, and yeah, it was great, man. Everybody liked each other. Everybody got along. Everyone was afraid of my mom out of any of the other moms, which I thought was funny for our community. No matter what their background was, if my mom came out, it was game over, man. My mom was the neighborhood big mama. So
yeah, because I think they learn it. If you get them when they're young, they love each other.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. But it's the parents that spoil them.
Yeah.
The parents are prejudiced. They teach it to the kids. So when we get those kids together, and even that one day with the foster kids, it's such a mixed group, and they're all playing together side by side.
Well, and all the worries go away for a day. Like you said, sometimes that one adult they can look to and trust. And you and I were talking a lot off air about the coaching and what that's done just in general. And I posted the picture I saw you like the other day of one of my former players, a high school kid, that had posted, greatest coaches ever with me and my 2 assistants. And then the one gentleman in the group actually played for me with Green Bay as part of the Blizzard. So it's cool to be able to get back to one of my players to teach them how to give back to the younger group. So it was really, really neat to have all that. And then we're going to run a little 5-minute segment here at the end. In an interview I did with a local organization that's doing charity, he was also a former player of mine who spent some time with Green Bay for a little bit during one of the rookie workouts a few years ago that we had as one of my receivers. So it's cool to be able to give back those different groups and see those guys help out in the community and understand, like you already know, of course, giving back in the Green Bay community and what that means to have that football position at any level. And the opportunity of what you can do to give back to the Green Bay community. Like I try to teach the younger Packer guys coming in every year when we get a hold of one is you can make a whole career out of coming back to Green Bay year after year. You look at the likes of Donald Driver, you look at the Gilbert Browns, some of the guys that are very well known, you can make a whole career, like you said, making $15,000 an appearance just to say hi and shake a couple hands for an hour even. It's amazing. They can support yourself long after football's done. And I think the NFL is doing the right things slowly but surely to get guys prepared to save money, to plan for plan B after football. And it's nice now that they're really trying to hone in on the community relations. And unfortunately, the NFL has taken a pretty big black eye, the last few seasons. So it's nice to be able to see them working the right way.
Yeah.
Just me. Now it's about the communities that these guys are thriving in. So the NFL 60, the community give back, where a couple of the neighborhoods I grew up in as a kid are now receiving benefits from the Packers of brand new playgrounds and equipment and football items. So it's neat. And they just had a cool article yesterday or a couple days ago about the effects of, the renovated Lambeau Field and how it barely passed. I think it was 57-43. And, if it wasn't for the mayor's hard push and the Packers kind of kissing some rear ends, $160 million going back in the Green Bay community, it's an amazing thing versus, your generation where it was like, hey, we might say hi and everybody knows each other, but then again, everybody's name was in the phone book in public access.
Yeah. And it's like anything. It's that consistency. If you keep doing it and you keep working with kids, they can unbelievable how they can read sincerity.
Mm-hmm.
And it again, I've just so much respect for the child psychologists or for the social workers. A few of them get a bad rap, but 99% of the ones I work with are what a trying job. And they get called in the weekends and
yeah, we have a few late night messages and phone calls, and it's cool to hear some of the good stories. Obviously, it's heartbreaking to see your other half coming home from a bad day, and obviously because of the HIPAA laws and stuff, you don't know too much, but you definitely see the worry in the eyes and the tears in the eyes and things like that, where it takes a toll on these guys. And yeah, like you said, way undervalued and way underpaid in my opinion. Just knowing the things I know, even the Boys and Girls Clubs that we grew up with as kids, that was my sanctuary. So I was trying to do as much as I can for that organization as well. But yeah, way understaffed, and then they wonder why, and way underpaid, of course. They wonder why they can't keep good people around sometimes, and you can't pay them minimum wage or under and expect good help to stay around, unfortunately.
Understaffed is absolutely right. I mean, the number of cases they're following, and then in any weekend in White County, which is where I live, Raleigh, there might be 20 kids that need a home that weekend, protection. So, sometimes if you're the social worker on call,
yeah.
Somebody's got to take them.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't had to foster any yet, but they probably know we're way too small of a house already for as much as we got. We got a whole playground already. Shoot, I'm one away from a basketball team at this point, but I think we're...
Oh, wow. How many do you have?
We have 4 between the two of us. She has 2, and I have 2, both a boy and a girl each. So they're 6, 8, 10, and 12. So we got some fun ages right now.
Yeah, I have...
Diaper stage, which is great.
I have 5, but I got 6 grandchildren, so...
Okay.
And one, my daughter has a 6-month-old. Maybe it's an 8-month-old. Better not show this to her. She's local. She went to Carolina, but the sweetest baby. So, yeah, mine are, my youngest are twins, but they're in their 30s now. So
nice.
And I took their twins. I took them to the Bart Starr reunion.
Oh wow.
So, which was against policy, but I separated them. I told the staff that I wouldn't bring them both to the same event. And anyways, Troy said, go ahead.
Nice.
But they, I didn't want me to abuse it, but as you probably figured, it was the last chance I was going to be able to bring them together. And
right.
They thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's always a good time. I mean, the Alumni Association for Green Bay, especially like Tony, really does an awesome job. I'm glad to be able and honored to call Tony a friend of mine.
Great.
stuff. I mean, just such a nice guy overall too. I mean, he looks out for me whenever I can. I like the fact that I'm able to approach him with different ideas and get real feedback, and it's not just I'll get back to you. I mean, he literally gets back to me with stuff, which I think is awesome. So it's nice. I mean, I still give Tony crap being a Notre Dame guy and stuff, and being a bike kid at my young age when he was still there, and remember when, if you still can, Tony. And yeah, just one of the best hearts around in the game for sure.
Yeah, and we get information emails from him probably once a month on some program that alumni need to look at.
Yeah,
a lot of these guys end up their careers without a diploma.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they leave early or they don't graduate, and what's the average career is 3 years, and
7 depending on position. Yeah,
you got to go earn a living.
Well, Dick, I don't want to keep you much longer. You gave me more than I thought you were going to give me. See, you said you had no stories. I knew you could.
I did note a couple of them in my favorite, with Fuzzy and Henry Jordan and Willie Wood and Willie Davis. But Willie Wood was just special to me. And heck, you talk about problems now. I think there was less then, but Willie's African American, and sometimes he would sit, him and Herb, or no, one of them from the inner city, but they would talk about things they were doing in the off season in the inner city to try to help the kids stay out of trouble. And they did that. I'm working, trying to make money. They're volunteering their own time in the off season to help kids. That's 50 years ago, and they're in the inner city. And so they're black and white guys on the same team. Veterans with a rookie. Hey, what can we do? We got to help these kids. And I don't know. It never left me, because they were busting their ass, 50 years ago to work with white and black kids in the inner city. So let's get back to that.
Last summer it was cool. My daughter got to hear Dave Robinson talk, and what a sweet man he is. I mean, it was cool because he could tell she was just so nervous to ask. It was one of the Green Bay tailgate events. We were down in Madison just by chance, and I just happened to see some posting randomly about it. I don't know if it was Tony give me a heads up or somebody had sent me something saying, hey, they're in Madison while you're down there. So they had the little tailgate tour, and the guest was Dave, and so nice because they're like, well, we don't know if they should ask questions, this or that. And Dave looked right at her and said, sweetheart, you take your time. You ask me anything you want, and I'll give you a real honest answer. And yeah, it was so great. She got to shake her hand, take a picture after, and she thought it was the nicest thing. She's been around a lot of the players through the years, and she goes, Dad, I kind of like these older guys. They're a lot nicer and sweeter, and they take their time. And I said, I agree. I mean, you do. You get quality time. You guys aren't afraid to share a good story and share a laugh and all that. Now you get the guys today that are, oh, my time's so valuable. It's like, look, one day it's all going to be gone. You're going to wish you had. So
yeah, he is fun to be. The last reunion, I sat with him and Marvin and Dawn in the booth watching the Vikings game, Bart's reunion game. And I always got along. Dave, we always kidded him that he wouldn't stop talking.
Yeah, they had to cut him off. But
listen, we'd be in the team bus going to a game, and he'd be in the back of the bus, with Lombardi up front, talking the whole time. And even on an airplane, if it was a 2 or 3 hour flight, Dave talked the whole flight, and but genuine. And at Penn State, I think he's an engineering degree from Penn State. So
okay.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah, I mean, just the conversations he shared. He talked about inner city.
Just ask him one question.
It's all right. No, it's okay.
Okay. Hey, listen, I know I'm taking you over, but hey, I enjoyed talking with you, and brings back some memories.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we're always glad to have you. And I think for a future episode, I'm going to bring you and Don together on this. I think that'll be fun. And maybe we can get a few more of the alumni guys and get a roundtable discussion going. Why not? We'll get a little reunion tour with all you guys together if we can. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I think they're good guys. So
Well, too, like you said, I think it was Jerry that said it. You know, we have to talk about these stories, or we'll forget. Unfortunately,
well, I forgot a couple as I was going.
No, it's cool. And then sometimes, like you said, though, too, and Don brought this up, sometimes you just forget.
Yeah.
Life happens, memories kind of come and go. And I'm one of the guys that suffers from 7 concussions myself. So there's things I can't remember till people bring it up. So I think it's important that, you know, we do get a chance to share the stories. And I know Don's son Ryan was big into, Dad, let's talk about some of the stuff and record it. And like you did, you know, Don goes, I don't think I've ever told this story since it happened. So it's nice to be able to have that. So if we can be the platform where that happens, I know our viewers, myself and Jeff, of course, and everybody around would be honored to have that. So I think we'll have to stay in touch.
I have a son, Ryan. And so we've got, I think when they were 5 or 7, we had a reunion and they're both Ryans. And they were together on we were on the sideline that came. So,
oh, wow.
And then Ryan and my daughter Natalie came last year, so got to see Ryan again.
Nice.
So those two have seen each other grow up for the last 25 years.
Wow.
Well, thank you. Hey, stay in touch, and thanks so much for having me.
Of course, anytime. You're more than welcome.
All the best.
All right, thanks, Dick. You too.
You too.
All right, everybody. So that was former Packer linebacker and Pittsburgh Steeler Dick Capp. Awesome story. Again, love being able to share some of these guys' stories. And big shout out again. Thank you to Don Horn again for making that interview happen for us. So great things still to come. Again, hopefully now with that another Rocky Bleier connection there. A lot of you have asked for us getting Rocky on the show. So any chance we have to get that, you will definitely get that interview as soon as we can. You know, being a local legend, winning how many Super Bowls. I mean, the guy's got a heart of gold, I heard as well. So we definitely can't wait for that. The T-shirt I'm wearing today, I told G5 guys I would definitely rep the shirt. So this one is the Team Wisco Leap Here. It comes in different options. So there's a Milwaukee Brewers, there's a Madison one you may or may not see me wear in our Badger episode coming up. So go over to G5 Designs LLC and you will be able to take a look at their full line of T-shirts. A couple weeks ago, I wore the Ours is Bigger Than Yours with the NFL championships listed. So make sure you get over to their page, show those guys some appreciation. And then one other T-shirt I got to show you guys while I'm here is for Froboy, supporting one of our organizations. I'm going to show you guys a video here in a second. And that'll talk more about the foundation that we've kind of partnered with for an upcoming fashion show they have, raising money for our Green Bay community. So make sure you take a look at the video coming up here in a second. Again, for Jeff Bryce, who unfortunately had some technical issues tonight, again, our special guest, Dick Capp, I'm MD Lovelace, and we'll see you next week. Hey everybody, it's your host, MD Lovelace from the Sconni Sports Show. Want to give a shout out to one of my buddies here real quick, doing some cool things in the Green Bay and surrounding communities. Eric Brundage. Eric, tell us about the brand you have and more about it.
Okay, so the brand name is Life Love Incorporated. The mission statement of Life Love Incorporated is live life, love life, incorporate yourself into your life because you matter. If you have a goal or something you want to accomplish at heart, go get it. That's the mission statement for the brand. It's not necessarily just a brand, it's a lifestyle.
Cool. And you guys got a ton of different gear coming out. Tell me about some of the things that you offer, through your company.
We offer t-shirts, jackets, hoodies, joggers, sweats, socks, snapbacks, beanies, just a different variety of apparel. So
I'll never need to buy clothes again, is what you're saying.
Hey,
now there's a cool little guy on your t-shirt, both of these t-shirts. This one's actually mine, so no one can have that one. Sorry, get your own. But tell me about the guy on the t-shirt, and then there's also a special meaning behind that t-shirt.
Okay, so the special meaning behind the t-shirt is, just understanding the difference that we have as far as our emotions. It's like, sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad. Embrace those emotions, because at the end of the day, they're your emotions. And, tough times don't last, but,
Tough people do.
Tough people do. There you go. Appreciate you. And so that's why I created the characters for the brand, just to show those emotions. But with this little guy on the shirt right here, we're working with Little Heart Big Minds charity, and the mission behind it is to donate $10 per sale of the Fro Boy apparel, because that's his name, to their cause. And their cause is to help little ones, achieve their goals and their dreams through athletics and, educational purposes. So we definitely love what they're doing, and we want to help the best way that we can.
It's awesome. So you have a pretty cool event coming up. I was a little sad you didn't ask me to be a model. Clearly, with the radio face I have, you didn't want me to be a model, which is okay. It's fine. I won't hold it against you. And you're probably still mad at me from our coaching days from me. If you guys didn't know, Eric played for me back in the day for Green Bay, so it's probably still a little hostile. But tell me more about the event that you have coming up at Club 920 in Green Bay.
Okay, so the club is going to be hosting a fashion show with my brand in it. It's going to be 11/20/2020. It's going to be a fun time. Tickets are $50, and we're having a VIP after party for $75 a ticket. It's just going to be a fun event. Come out, grab a couple drinks, spend a couple, moments with some quality people, have some good fun, and share some good times.
And they're going to be able to see some of your apparel you have going on there, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So it's like a full fashion show, right?
Yes,
something
sir.
that I don't know. Last time I saw it on Green Bay, so that's pretty neat that you're doing something like that. You also have a website coming out that night. Now you said that'll be the first time anybody's going to see this website, right?
First time anyone's going to see the website.
Man, I can't wait to buy all those socks, man. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Hey, we're gonna have tie-dye socks, Fro Boy socks, embroidery. Like it's gonna be amazing, man. Like,
Awesome. So you guys won't want to miss that. Again, that's 11/20/2020. Club 920 in Green Bay. Man, we're doing a lot of 20s. It should be 22s, man. Remember who you're talking to.
synchronicities, man.
If people want to get tickets, what page should they go to for that for you?
For tickets, they can go to the Instagram page, the Life Love Incorporated Fashion Show page.
Okay.
And that's where you can obtain your tickets.
Awesome. And then, obviously, for the brand itself, Eric obviously has a different Instagram for that. Tell us everyone where to go to for that.
So we have two. The Life Love Inc. brand is where you actually can see the apparel, and we have the Life_Love_ Incorporated page. And that's the fan page where everybody is captivating their pictures and stuff like that. We're just showing everybody some love.
Awesome. Look at even the fly around he wants it.
What's good, homie?
So, be like the fly on the wall here, so to speak, or the fly on Eric today, because we smell of success. Make sure you guys go ahead and get your shirts and socks and keep it fresh. For all your promotional product and outdoor game activities, check out Just the Three of Us. They're on Facebook today. Hey guys, looking for new apparel for your next big event? Check out our friends over at Stenciled, our official apparel provider for the Sconni Sports Show.